Hey everyone, today I have an OKSew best bits for you. This clip is taken from the Alice tutorial that was part of the January Marathon Society event, and I'm showing you my tips for sewing and top stitching curves. Lining and the exterior, right sides together, and clip around the outside. We're going to sew around the outside edge of this flap, but we are not going to sew the top open edge. We're going to be sewing along the edge of our interfacing piece, around the curve, along the bottom, and up around the other side. If there is a mismatch between the weights of your material, for example, I have vinyl for my exterior and I have cotton woven for my lining, I am going to sew with the lighter material down, and that will help reduce any shifting between my layers. So I'm going to sew vinyl side up around this edge using a shorter stitch length. When I get down to the corner, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to do 2 to 3 stitches at a time and pivot so I get a nice gradual curve around the edge of that interfacing piece. The same on the other corner, and continue up the other side, and then I will back stitch at both the beginning and the end using a shorter stitch length, and again following along the edge of this interfacing piece to get the intended seam allowance. Back stitching at the beginning, careful of the magnetic snap as you go past it. Come up to the corner, take it nice and slowly. I like to raise the presser foot slightly as I come to the curve, pivot, lower it again. So 2 stitches, raise it slightly, pivot until I get all the way around that curve. Back stitch again at the top, leaving that upper edge open. We're now going to trim the seam allowance. You can use regular scissors or pinking shears. When you come to the corner, you're going to trim around the stitch line. So you're going to be trimming off a fair bit of that corner. And using pinking shears or scissors to put little snips in will help that corner to smooth out nice and flat when we turn a flap out. You don't want to get too close. You don't want to accidentally snip your stitches, but you want to be close enough that you're going to reduce that bulk when we turn it. Turn your flap the right way out. And if you have a point turner, you can use the curved edge to smooth that rounded edge. Gently roll the seams, then using an iron, a seam roller, or finger pressing, smooth that out so that we can top stitch around this entire flat piece. Sew around the entire flat piece, including the open edge, using a longer stitch length, sewing out 1/8 of an inch, and I am going to back stitch at the open edge since that will be hidden inside the seam allowance. I tend to roll my seam allowance as I go to keep it nice and even, to make sure that I don't have a lot of my lining showing from the outside, and also to make sure that I've got a nice straight line and that the vinyl isn't causing the edge of my flap to bow in. When I come up to the corner, I'll do it the same way as we did the construction of the flap, sewing 2 stitches, raising the presser foot to pivot, 2 more stitches, same again, to get a nice gradual stitch line on that curve. I will have a link to the full tutorial in the description. Hope that helps. Thanks everyone.